Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Bowmaster619 here. Another beautiful day in color. It's going to be one of those videos. Another beautiful day in colorful Colorado. Time for a car vlog. And yes, it is Friday. I'm going to be working on the Friday Weekly Inspirational Quote very soon as I have a little bit more time. Because the quote I want to leave you with is a little bit of a lengthy one, so I do need to actually have it written down so I can read it word for word. And I still have not gotten the riddle quite yet, so I need to get one of those looked up, but all that will be said and done very soon. But right now, this is going to be a very simple car vlog, and I'm going to tell you about a phrase that I have begun adopting and started using myself. And it is one that has been used by Dave Canterbury of the Pathfinder School. And a lot of the things that I say are going to be coming, well, a lot of the things I say in regards to survival, at least, are going to be coming from a few of the different survival experts that are out there. Dave Canterbury and Cody Lundeen are two of the people that I definitely look up to in regards to survival experts. There are a lot of them out there, don't get me wrong, but those two guys are two of my personal favorites. I've enjoyed watching a lot of their different videos on YouTube. Dave has way more than Cody, that's for sure, but I love the series Dual Survival they were both in. That series, that always cracked me up. Just the dynamic of those two working together was always hilarious to me. But a phrase that Dave Canterbury uses is known as FARMD. That's what he calls it. F-A-R-M-D. And that is a phrase that he uses when he's looking for what he calls common man tools. And that can pretty much be anything. You know, that can be from knives and other cutlery, you know, knives, axes. That can be for rope. That can be for cooking utensils, water bottles, projectile tools, what have you. This particular phrase definitely works for that. And it's such a good phrase, which is why I'm going to share it with you now. And it is consisted of those 5 letters. The first one is F, functionality. A is affordability. R is for reliability. M is for maintenance. And D is for durability. And these each can be broken down into their own subcategory, so to speak, but they're essentially more or less self-explanatory, but I'm going to go ahead and go into a little detail on each one to begin with. So, functionality. Basically, the point behind functionality is the word that I use quite often, versatility. You know, just how many different tasks can this particular tool accomplish? And that's one of the biggest things right there for me with any of the different items that I will be discussing in future videos or that I have already discussed, is just how many different things can this one item do? And a recent video I did with my top 5 projectile tool categories, every single one of those was an extremely versatile or functional type of tool. And I center a lot of what I do around functionality or versatility. Because if something is only going to accomplish one task in a survival situation, that's not necessarily the best thing you can go with. You know, a cooking pot is something that could be considered a bit of an exception for that. Simply because, you know, a cooking pot can be used to, well, obviously cook things in, purify water, things of that sort, so it is a little bit versatile, but it's not exactly good for other things. It is a container, so you could carry a few different items in it, but it's not going to be nearly as versatile as other items. Maybe a pot was a bad description, but you get the point. Now, affordability is one thing that I always look into when I'm looking for different survival items. Simply because I myself, at least at this point in time, do not make very much revenue. I don't make a whole hell of a lot of money, so I really have to watch what it is that I'm going to be purchasing. And how much bang am I going to get for my buck, essentially. Recently, I got a very nice crossbow at a pawn shop for about 60 bucks, if I remember correctly. And the only slight issue with it is the fact that the front sight on it, because it did originally come with a set of iron sights, the front bead sight was broken off completely. And I'm going to do a little more research on it, but at this point, I don't know where exactly you can get one of those. But it did come with a red dot sight. The only problem is the red dot sight uses little watch-type batteries, and it went dead pretty quick. But aside from those minor setbacks, it is an amazing crossbow, and I already had crossbow bolts for another crossbow I have that is still under maintenance, and this thing is incredibly accurate. So that was a pretty darn good find for me. And that's a good example to go with. You know, functionality, crossbows, especially a slightly lesser high-end crossbow like the one that I found, is going to be very versatile. You can hunt small game, medium game, and even large game with it, and a lot of times that's as simple as changing the arrowhead. I mean, you could even, in theory, go bow fishing with this thing if you had the proper setup for it. Now let me see. Reliability. Is this thing going to work every time? Or is it at least going to work a vast majority of the time? Because everything can fail. Everything is liable to fail at one point or another. But just how reliable is this item going to be for you? You know, is it going to be a little bit better to purchase, say, a $30 or $40 knife versus a $1 knife? Probably. Because for certain brands and certain items, you definitely get what you pay for. Which goes right back to affordability, of course. But reliability is something you definitely need to keep into consideration. A very good example of that would be old military surplus rifles such as a Mosin-Nagant, however you properly pronounce it. Those things are, well, military weapons in general, military items in general, are going to be extremely reliable. You know, it's very rare that those things are going to screw up unless there is significantly something wrong. Maintenance. Just how easily can you work on this thing while you're out in the field? How easy is it going to be to repair that item? How easy is it going to be to do whatever it is that needs to be done? And this can go right back to the crossbow or a Mosin-Nagant or whatever tool it is you're going to be looking for. Do you know that item well enough to be able to take it apart if something is damaged or even in some cases simply unclean, needs to be cleaned? And how well are you going to be able to put that whole thing back together once you're done with it? Can you field strip that item and work it? Or is it something that's exceedingly complicated and you're not entirely sure how to work it? You know, whatever equipment you're going to be taking with you, you need to make sure you know how to work it, obviously. But as far as maintenance goes, is it going to be simple maintenance or is it going to be complex maintenance is one thing you definitely need to consider. And then finally, durability. Which reliability and durability kind of go hand in hand, but it really depends on which aspect of it you're talking about, because in regards to firearms, reliability is going to be, is that thing going to shoot every single time you pull the trigger? Whereas durability is, if you throw that thing down, kick it through the mud, drag it around a bit, throw it over your shoulder, and then flip it up to your shoulder to shoot, is it going to be able to take that kind of abuse and still be reliable, still be functioning? I cannot freaking talk tonight. But yes, that is the generality behind that in particular, is how good is this thing going to work? How well is it going to... How long is it going to last? You know, that's the whole thing. How much abuse can it take before it finally fails? I kind of rambled on a little bit. I got sidetracked. I apologize, but there you go. So, a good phrase to remember, and I'll go into detail on these a little bit more in the future if necessary. FARMD. Functionality, affordability, reliability, maintenance, and durability. So keep that in mind along with some of the other survival tips that I'm going to be giving in the future very soon, including going over the 5 C's of survivability. That is another one by Dave Canterbury, and it's one that I always think of whenever I head out into the field. So, until next time, this is Bowmaster619 out. I will see you in the next video. If you're not subscribed yet, please hit the subscribe button, and don't forget to hit the little bell icon next to the subscribe button so you'll be notified of all of my uploads the second they happen. Until then, I will see you in the next video. Take care.